Here is the trend line and where some of the biggest drops happened or already happened.
And when you look at the age range, it's 18 to 44, and we're at the top end of that range.
Right. At least I give them credit for being fair about that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised they're bringing that up.
I mean, to be fair, CNN has. You've been seeing them kind of change their tone. I know they're under new leadership now. And they brought in that one guy who's like the conservative voice on those panels who pushes back against them all the time. Right. They've been doing a little bit more fair assessments.
I've seen Brian. Is it Brian now?
Brian Stelter.
Byron
Donaldson.
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, I think they were looking at their numbers. Right. And they're like, yo, we're dying.
You have to. Yeah. If you're going to do these kind of pollings and you're going to kind of make these comparisons, you just can't compare Obama to everybody else. Yeah. Because it's like basically, like you're right. They're basically saying, how come you don't like her like you like Obama?
Yeah.
So everything is going to be, that's the measuring stick is Obama.
Yeah. But they don't understand the fact that like during that time, that was the beginning of YouTube. Yes. When Obama came in, that was the beginning of the internet. That was the beginning of people being able to research things and understand what's going on. So now, and men are the biggest demographic on YouTube are young men. Right. So when you look at the amount of information men are taking in about things, they're slowly being awakened to like, yo, y'all been lying to us.
And that, which is, you're 100% right. But then there's another aspect, which is like what Obama had achieved was a historic thing. I can get people feeling like this has to happen because it's a historic event.
I want to see it. Yeah.
Right. That has worn off. We've had plenty of time for them to do something. They have done nothing. You know what I mean? So that the nostalgia or this glorification of a black president, that you can't trick people with that no more. Yeah. That's gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't be like, hey, there's a black guy playing baseball.
Yeah.
That's already happened.
Yeah.
We're not going to be excited because of that.
Right.
Is he good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to be excited about stuff like that. You know what I mean? So this is what they're failing to say is the policies, you know, it's just voting for them because they're black.
It's not working.
That's not working.
On men.
On men, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll keep going on this and see when they get to women.
In this case, how about black men overall?
How about black men overall? It's part of the same picture. You know, we're looking once again, if younger black men, it looks like the worst Democratic performance since 1960, since JFK versus Richard Nixon. It's the same thing among black men overall. Again,
it's definitely better with the older black men. I've seen it a lot.
A little bit. Like, look at the numbers here.
I've seen it a lot, though, like when I talk to older black men.
Yeah. Because older black men are more of the boomer era. They still watch CNN, MSNBC. Yeah. They still listen to what Al Sharpton has to say.
They're not on YouTube.
Yeah. No, they're not on YouTube
as much. So.
Yep.
They tend to still have trust in the media.
And not only that, but they're very fearful of being outspoken. A lot of people will be turned off by them.
Yeah.
As much as the older generation will talk about the younger generation being followers and not leaders, they are actually the followers and not the leaders, because what they'll do is they'll accuse younger men, oh, you follow your friends, where you get your information from. They won't, even though they may not agree with policies, they won't come against it because they'll ostracize themselves from friend groups, social circles.
Yeah.
They couldn't say this around their clubs or their church. They couldn't speak freely like this, so they have to kind of go along with that. They're very fearful of being ostracized from saying any of this.
And also they're fearful of the fact that a lot of them have lived through the civil rights movement.
That's true too.
And a lot of them have seen real racism, real
That's true.
You know, discrimination by the police, real like bad things happen, or at least to their parents and to themselves. Where
I'll say more their parents.
Right.
They're taking that, they're making it their own, but they really haven't seen that generation, the 80s and the 90s, they would have been our age in the 80s and the 90s. And I think they're taking that and they're making it more of an issue than it actually is, because they actually prospered. If you look at the numbers, they prospered way more financially than we ever did.
Right.
Especially now when you look at the prices of homes, gas, all stuff like that. So, yeah, I understand the vestige of that.
But they were still young kids during the civil rights movement.
That's true.
So they saw that. They saw Martin Luther King get killed. They saw JFK get killed. They saw, you know what I mean? Like, they're more connected to that time because it happened.
That's true.
in their lifetime. You know what I mean? So they still have that fear of they're trying to take us back to that, you know, because that's the fear tactic that's used all the time.
Right.
They're, you know, Trump is going to take us back to that, you know.
And I don't think I know that that's part of it. I don't think they believe it. I just think that they're very fearful of being outed or ostracized from the bigger group if they say we don't like the direction the Democrats are going. I know this specifically, especially with Black Christians.
Yeah.
Who, when Obama started pushing the gay agenda, they wouldn't speak out against him because he is Black to them.
He was the almighty to them.
Right. So they can't come against him.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. And then you start hearing things like, well, he ain't just a Black president. He's everybody's
He's got to be everybody's president. You know? But see, that's why they can't be mad that they now, when they see the trend moving away, they send him back out there to wrangle everybody back in.
Yep.
Because they're like, wait, but y'all followed everything he said before.
He's essentially replaced Clinton as the wrangler.
Yeah.
Clinton was the wrangler until this Me Too thing took a weird turn and people started pointing fingers at Clinton.
It's crazy how much they've ignored that, though. Like, they sent him back out there. I got clips of him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show.
He ain't doing so good.
Watch that?
Yeah. But let's get through this first. Okay. So let's finish watching this clip.
Trend, but here actually the drop-off isn't as dramatic, right? Barack Obama won him by 85, then you see 71 with Clinton, 69, Biden, basically the same thing, holding steady. But here, again, very, very weak, only a 54-point margin. Now, again, still winning him by a large margin, but considerably lower than what we're used to, certainly considerably lower what we had during the Obama years. The bottom line is Kamala Harris with younger Black men and then Black men overall putting in historically weak performance for a Democratic candidate.
Is she getting any relief with Black women?
All right. So, you know, we're talking about the trend line, right? And Black women, look, she's doing better with Black women than she is doing among Black men. But here, there isn't a trend line almost until we get to Kamala Harris. So, again, this is a block.
Look at that.
Still going down.
93.
That's crazy.
And 93.
That's crazy.
Biden and Hillary. Trump, Obama and Hillary.
To me, that's like, I'm not even thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just doing.
Just doing what I'm told.
I'm not even, I don't need no evidence.
Right.
I don't need nothing.
Right.
You know.
But, I mean, when you think of women's role, they're not built to be the ones to be spearheading things. They're kind of built to be like, let me take in the information and just make the safe choice. You know what I mean? Let me do the thing that keeps my security and you know that's
they're not made to deal with the onslaught. Right. They're meant to come under the covering of the onslaught.
Right.
And typically, a lot of times, it's a 1 or 2 voter issue.
Yeah.
Like women's rights and abortion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's really.
And I don't like that person. Or women heavily lean into identity politics a lot. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting that even with Kamala, the numbers are way down.
Right.
You know, so it's not him just singling out Black men.
Right.
This is why you're going to see that it's become a huge issue.
You know what's so funny? My 83-year-old aunt, she was always a Democrat. Well, now she's such a strong Republican that she attacks people now. When they come to her house, who are you voting for? No, you can't vote. Like, and my cousin says to her, Mom, please, you got to calm down.
Yeah.
She gets
can't get emotional about it.
She gets so emotional.
Yeah.
Like, she gets so upset.
Yeah. But Kamala's...
She's 83. I'm sorry, 88.
Wow.
I think people... Like, Kamala is just not a good candidate. And she never was. She never was popular before. People
Nobody
can see...
voted for her.
People can also see phony. And I think... all of the narrative spin, all of the protection from the media, all of the, you know, the just gaslighting that's being done is not working like they thought it would. So then they're like, okay, we got to send Obama out there. Before we get to the Obama thing, I just wanted to show Joy Reid. So, you know, the talking heads of the media, Operation Mockingbird plants. First of all, Joy Reid is not a foundational Black American. Her family are immigrants, you know.
She really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caribbean, right?
No, from Africa.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is her
Reid's not African.
calling out Black men to vote for.
Have you noticed how sharply the polls have shifted in Trump's favor over the last couple weeks? with these claims that Trump is surging with black and Latino voters and leading in every single swing state, according to secret internal polls, despite all the Hitler talk. Yes, this race will be far too close. Because unfortunately, we do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear, but in small pockets among black and brown men, too. This happens to be a global phenomenon.
It's a global phenomenon. There's all these black and brown fascists now. That's
you gotta put that out there.
That's her answer.
Let's go all the way to that.
So the fact that you don't want to support Kamala,
it's not because of the economy failing, inflation, wars. They're fascists.
Yeah, this is the issue that I've been seeing a lot. Like because I see certain people, online speaking about this stuff, and they go to the extreme.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like you can't even talk to them because they're just accusing.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't even have a conversation. All right, I can't even talk to that person because they're just gonna go straight to the accusing. They got all the talking points that they were given. And they've done no research whatsoever, and they say they do research by just listening to the talking heads and then saying I did research.
Yeah, she wants to set the narrative. That's all she's doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's just, dude, it's this accusatory stuff where they just said it. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. And you can't talk to anybody who's of that same mindset because they've already made their mind up. And that's the thing that
they don't even want to know. Like, so what is it that made you?
That's my point. Like, Joe, like if instead of like just jumping to,
well, there's now we got pockets of black and brown fascists.
Yeah. Instead of jumping to that, it should be like, well, what's going on here?
Why the numbers trending?
Why can't you go out and talk to some people, find some people that are going to vote for Trump, and just talk to them and see what they say? Because that's not going to fall in their favor.
And that's a tactic that they use. Of course, we're going to set the narrative that black men and brown men are fascists and they're Hitler and this and that. But really what it is in case she loses, they're going to say, hey, the reason why she didn't lose is because all these black men turned against her. They're already setting the narrative.
Or why she lost.
Right? Why she lost, yes.
Yeah. Well, I remember the last election, they were mad at black men for not coming out and voting harder for Biden, remember?
Right. After Biden said,
if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Yeah. Real quick, Courtney said...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
After Charlemagne did challenge him and said, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he was fed up and said...
Hey, come on, man.
If you ain't vote for me, he just wanted to shut up.
Yeah. Yep. Courtney said Trump has the Democrats campaigning in PA, a swing state, like crazy. They are scared. Yeah, I mean, it feels like desperation to me all the way across the board because they tried the tactic of hiding her for the longest. And when they saw that she was plummeting, especially after the debate that they swear they won, but the numbers don't show that, now they said, okay, well, we got to put her on everything. And then that's backfiring because she's not good at that.
Because she says that she's
I'm a middle-class woman.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's her answer to everything. But let me show you guys another example. Miss Sunny Hostin, who is also not a black woman, was on The View. And this is her opinion of people that voted for Trump, black men.
But, we can't poll people's hearts and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach
ridiculous,
crazy black men.
Man, they're calling them names. Like, what the heck?
Like, this is their strategy to just, and they think that this is going to win over black men. That black men are going to be like, y'all are right, ladies. We've been crazy all this time.
And what's crazy is that even them doing that, you see, it's for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
It's just to win.
Yep.
It's not to grow something. It's like, I'm not even going to go there. No, I'm not even going to go there. But it's just, you see what their heart is.
Yeah.
You see what they care about. They're telling you.
Well,
they're literally telling you.
We see it that, like we were saying, women get heavily get brought into identity politics a lot easier than men, and I think they desperately want to see a woman president and want to see and especially people, they want to see a woman of color president, especially people like her and Joy Reid. And of course they're already bought into the Democrats, period. Trump is a fascist, he's Hitler, he's a racist. So to them it's a no-brainer. So you have to the only explanation could be that you are crazy, you know. But
it just shows you, dude, that you have no business being responsible for talking to people. You have no business running a country. You have no business being on media. Really,
you're displaying your lack of care.
You're showing you don't really care, and your care is the way you care is very selfish.
Yeah,
it's very selfish. You only care about yourself and what you feel like you want.
Right.
It's like a parent that is like telling their kids, get out my face until you're doing all the things that I think you should do.
Right.
Then I'm going to act like this is my daughter and I love her so much and she's amazing.
Yeah.
But until then, I don't care about you.
And I think this is a huge testament to the problem with and the reason why we're bringing this up is there's a problem when you try to lump people into these racial categories and you try to predict how they're going to move and how they're going to vote, and if we do this then black people, that'll play well to black people. Like we need to get away from that, period.
It's all manipulation. It's all witchcraft.
Exactly.
Two things I would say. Number one, I would say this idea that I see, two things are happening. Number one is they've been preaching that black people are under attack by white supremacy.
Yeah.
And the very first chance they get to scold black men for not following orders, they jump right in and use the same tactics, knowing that if any Republican said this, they would be all over it.
They would be all over it.
And it would be 24-hour news.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance said this. Then the other thing is this, is black women of higher education feeling they had the right and authority to scold black men like boys.
Yep.
Because what you're doing is you're saying, essentially, you're not smart enough to make decisions on your future. I am smart enough.
But isn't that how a lot of black women treat their relationships and their marriages these days?
They openly say that.
Yeah.
So what
like these women on The View talked about how their husbands are idiots and can't do anything for themselves.
Right. So I think what they're doing, knowingly and unknowingly, knowingly trying to shame black men, unknowingly proving why there's this separation between black men when there's this not this cohesive nature. Because what you're doing is you're not saying, hey, listen, hold on. If this dropped, because clearly CNN had this poll and showed it's trending down. Yeah. All right, let's get some black men in here and let's answer these questions. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, if these women are concerned about why black men feel the way they do, let's have we sit down with black men and ask them, hey, what's happening with her policies or what she's saying that doesn't resonate with you? Yeah. But none of that is happening. I'm going to yell at you and scream at you. I'm going to call you an idiot. I'm going to call you a fascist. I'm going to talk down to you. The very thing that we're telling you that Trump and people like him will do, we're doing to you. Right. But we're not racist for doing it. Right. You just need to fall in line.
Yep.
Right?
And then we're going to send Obama out, who is y'all's daddy, and tell y'all to get in line. He is he fell in line. He's the ultimate house Negro. Going to tell y'all slave Negroes.
He did twang it up a little bit.
That y'all need to get in line for Massa. Massa is very upset right about now. And if y'all don't get in line, we all's going to get in trouble.
And I can't help but think.
So let's play it, because let's show you his reasoning for why black men aren't voting for Kamala. First of all, let me give a shout out to our Irish brother, Brendan Lennon. He said, hey guys, how's it going? What's up, brother?
Is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly.
Speak to y'all, the brothers, okay?
And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain.
See, and men are not stupid because they know that this woman did not grow up like us. Mm-hmm. She does not understand the struggles and pain. She grew up with an Indian mother who and didn't grow up with her father and grew up in Canada in an upper middle class. You know, she tries to paint it as some, I grew up in a middle class family. She grew up in a society where she wasn't around many black people.
But Obama didn't grow up like that either.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, Candace Owens did you know how she's been digging into Kamala's past.
I saw that, yeah.
Well, she did a breakdown of Obama's today. And she was talking about how, like, back when this came up in the past, she kind of dismissed it and thought that, like everyone else did, like, oh, the only reason why they're bringing this up is because he's the black president. They don't like it, so they're being racist about questioning where his origin story. But when you really look into it and the fact that he actually grew up in Indonesia and his name was Barry Soetoro because that was his stepfather's name. His mom married an Indonesian man who worked for the Indonesian government, there's registries of him at the school named Barry Soetoro. You know what I mean? And then after that, coming and living with his grandparents in Hawaii, who are upper class white folks. You know what I mean? So him acting like he's one of the brothers who understands the struggle is a complete farce as well, because he did not grow up as black Americans normally do. You know what I mean? He didn't grow up with a black father. His father wasn't around. His father is from Kenya, as we all know. So he grew up with a stepfather who's Indonesian. Right. You know, so
but they look at him and they accept it.
Because he's learned, both of them have kind of learned the caricature.
What's funny is
of the black.
Lingo,
yeah.
You know what's funny? Because I'm looking at you right now.
Yeah.
And you've had more of a black experience in terms of how we grew up and, you know.
But I look further from black than that.
That's why, so it's like, that's why to me it's so, like, even to do all that, it just annoys me because you don't know.
Right.
You don't. Like, none of this matters in terms of even us trying to pick apart and figure out, well, did they really have the black experience type? Like, all that stuff is so stupid and surface.
It is.
Here, when I look at them talking and acting, this is desperation.
Yes.
But the fact that, like I said, we're talking about it, but then it's like the fact that they're trying to go there.
Yeah.
Right? And bring
this
it
is someone
there.
who knows your struggle.
And then we got to be like, yo, you didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we even have to
point that out, because that shouldn't matter at all.
No, it shouldn't.
Are you a good leader? Are you someone that we want to vote for? Do you have good ideas to move this country out of the bad place it's in right now, or not?
Yeah.
And it's clear that people don't believe that Kamala's the one to do that.
Right.
You know, so trying to make it about, and he goes on to say that, like, black men just don't want to see a woman in leadership. So basically calling them misogynists.
Right. Feeding into the stereotypes.
Exactly.
Right.
And
You know what's so crazy?
Yes.
For the past 3.5 years, seriously, we did not see her.
Right.
We didn't see her.
Well, we saw her.
Not much.
We saw her every time she went in front of somebody and said some stuff that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
We saw her.
But not much, but even anywhere. Like, and then all of a sudden she's the
6 months ago, they were debating on CNN whether or not Biden should run with a different VP because she was so bad that she was probably dragging down his ticket. Those clips exist all over X. Like 6 months ago, they were talking about that. Maybe he should run with someone else.
Yeah.
But now, as soon as she announced, oh, she's the best thing in the world. We never said those things. But I want to play this clip because Nina Turner, who is she was a congresswoman, and she used to be on Bernie's team when he was running. She actually went on, I think, CNN and made a statement about this and basically, scolded Obama for this.
Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group?
A tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. And why, as a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Waltz campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right? That
look, she cuts her off right when she was about to get into her record.
Yep, nope. She's a
that's one of her fraternity sisters right there.
Oh, this is not going the way you want it
to.
Yep,
let me cut her off and get to the talking points. But she said something very key there because they played their hand in a way where they exposed how they view the black voter.
Sure.
Because they want them to all vote as a monolith in one voting block.
Right.
And if the fact that men are straying away a little bit more than women, they said, okay, Obama, you need to get these Negroes in check. Because if we lose them, we're going to be in trouble.
And they're not confident she can.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, they're not coming out and saying, all men are not feeling Kamala. She's doing terrible with men, period. They're doing a whole, like, how do we capture men campaign right now. And it's failing miserably because she got Tim Walz.
And it's not just because she's a woman. It's because of a policy stance. It's because of...
Who she picked as VP.
Who she picked as VP. She hasn't sat down and done the interviews and the issues that are really affecting Americans. She's on a podcast with a woman who has a sex podcast.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing. You're not going out to actually address the issues that could fix this economy. You find yourself on a podcast with a woman who talks about penis and butts
and saying how men have no issue, there's no laws made against men's bodily autonomy.
So,
like what?
So men see this and men understand the foolishness of it.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And no one is addressing it from that standpoint. She's not actually going out to address the issues that concern Americans, men, whatever you want to say. But she's finding herself on these podcasts that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Telling us about how she grew up. We don't care about that.
Yeah.
How are you going to fix the economy? That's what we're talking about.
Right. And that's what men care about. Men care about how are we going to move this country forward? How are we going to dig out of this hole? How are we going to have, how price is going to be lower? We don't care about, how many transgender people are going to be able to get surgeries in prisons. Mm-hmm. We don't care about, tampons in boys' bathrooms.
No,
we don't care
about that.
Yeah.
But like James said, they showing themselves by doing these things.
Yeah.
Obama, all of them by doing
this backfired.
Oh, yes, this did not play well at all.
Stephen A. Smith did a whole lecture on him.
Yeah.
Everybody's
coming out doing stuff. Tavis Smiley came out and did a whole thing
because
about...
he's feeding into the trope that black men are misogynists, and he's labeling that because he wants to threaten them.
Yeah.
He's threatening them. Oh, you don't want me to call you this now.
Right.
He's threatening them into vote for her no matter what.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson did the same thing.
D.L. Hughley, Steve Harvey, what's the other? Ricky Smiley.
But this is why I've said this. There's a black elite class that are all fraternity members, and you vote blue no matter who, but it's very specific with them because the black elite class are usually business, they're into politics, but they're fraternity members, and they have a loyalty to one another, the AKAs, the Q dogs, all of these. If you ever look at their affiliation, that's what they go with and they ride with no matter what.
Yeah.
But what is the overarching thing that keeps them united? Like, from all this? Like, what's the overarching thing that together in this fraternity stuff? And what do you think that is?
Power, money,
greed, power, like he said, influence.
Yeah. Because you're
to be elite, to have that status
and within that black circle.
Right.
Because
gatekeeper.
You're invited into a club.
But that's the house Negro. That's why I was saying they brought out Steven from Django to tell everybody else.
He's good. Obama's good.
Yeah.